Hi guys, in this video we are going to learn what's meant by the speed and velocity. In the previous video we have already discussed about displacement and distance. Likewise, here we are going to learn literally when you are considering about the magnitude, it's going to be the same speed and velocity. But you are considering about the direction, the velocity only has direction. That's the only difference between speed and velocity. So first of all, you need to remember what's the equation or what's mean by that, what's the definition of speed and velocity. So now we are going to consider about that. So let's start with speed. When you're considering about the speed, we are going to give different types of speed. One is instantaneous speed and the next one is average speed. What's mean by this instantaneous speed? As the name already telling us that we are going to find the speed of certain vehicle or certain particle in that specific time period, in a small specific time period, that is known as instantaneous speed. When you are considering for a long interval, we are going to tell average speed. What's the reason we are calculating like these two is, actually we knew when, let's say you are going from one state to another state. When you are traveling by the car, actually we knew that we are not going to follow the same speed. So that's why when you are considering about the speed at that time period or at that time instant, at that point of time, we are going to tell as instantaneous speed. When your dad is calling you and asking like, son, what's the speed of your car now? So you are going to mention one particular speed which is represented in speedometer, which is going to represent the point speed of that car. Likewise, when you are considering about for a long distance, we can't tell that instantaneous speed for every point you have passed. So that we are going to use another term, average speed. So that's the main two types of speed. So let's start with instantaneous speed. So I'm going to write it like this. Instantaneous speed. Actually, this is not a formal structure. You don't need to write it like this. Speed is enough, but I'm going to write it like this. So here what we are going to tell is, when you are considering about the instantaneous speed, it's going to be total distance, or in other terms, let's say this is distance over time. Distance over time, which simply means in each and every second, or in each second, or in a particular second, what's the distance that car moved or that particle moved. So that's known as speed. So here we knew that when you are considering about the instantaneous, the time is very small. Let's say in other terms, in the mathematical terms, we can denote it like this: dv by dt. Sorry, this is ds by dt. So I am going to explain why it came like this. Actually, we knew that when you are considering about the limit, the speed of that vehicle or speed of that particle would be distance over t. In other terms, you can actually use d2 for this s2, so distance over time. Actually, we are going to find when the t is very small. In other terms, we can tell that t is tends to 0. It's going to be very small. So in that case, we are taking this limit, which we will have in mathematical terms. We can write it like ds by dt. So this is known as instantaneous speed. So that t is very small. As a definition, you can remember like this: when you are considering about in a velocity or the speed of a particle within the certain very small time period, or at that point of time, we are going to tell it like instantaneous speed. So what's the definition of average speed? So when you are considering about the average speed, we are going to tell like this. Actually, we knew that when you are considering about the average speed, we are going to take for, or we are going to travel for a long distance. So we can write it like this. We are going to write total distance over total time taken. Total time taken. So this is the equation for average speed. So you need to remember when you are considering about the instantaneous speed, what it means is at that point of time, what's the distance it covered. So that's known as instantaneous speed. Likewise, when you are considering about the average speed, the total distance, you are considering about the total distance of that traveling, and you are going to divide it by the total time so that you are going to get the average speed of that vehicle. So here I have mentioned from this A, there is a person who is traveling from 3 meter here to his right, and after that he is moving upwards by 4 meter. So what's the task for you guys is you need to pause this video and find, first of all, find whether we need to use instantaneous speed or average speed for this one, for this question. What's the better choice? So actually you can guess, so please pause the video and try to figure it in your own. I hope most probably most of the students will easily identify this. Actually, it's about the total distance. Here he is going to move 3 meter and another 4 meter. Here we are going to take 2 seconds. Relatively, when you are comparing about the 0, this 2 is very small. Like 2 is literally towards 0, but actually it's kind of a average speed. The reason is the t is the time interval is it's actually bigger. When you are considering about the instantaneous speed, we take the time interval. Let's say this time would be in average, in normal position you will take like the minimum count of the time you can take. Let's say when you are considering about a stopwatch, that stopwatch is take a minimum count of 0.1 second, which means the smallest number or smallest reading that stopwatch can take. So in that time interval, if you find the distance, that is known as instantaneous speed. However, here we are finding for 2 seconds, so which is very much greater than that 0.1 second. So that's why we are going to calculate the average speed. So now we have figured it out. So why we are finding the average speed is would be better for this calculation is when you are considering about the instantaneous speed, we actually calculate the if the time interval, if the distance covered is given for a time interval which is very small. Likewise, in that particular clock or stopwatch, we are going to find what's the least count. In other terms, in the physics term, we actually tell as least count. What's the minimum quantity that clock can measure or that stopwatch can measure? If we find the distance in that time period, in that 0.1 second, we are going to calculate instantaneous speed. At that point of time, what's the speed? Here we are mentioning about the 2-second traveling, so we are going to calculate the average speed. So the next task is you are going to pause this video and find what's the average speed for this question. I hope you have all tried. So when you are asking, when anyone asks about this, just pull off with this equations. So here we are going to find the average speed. So I'm going to write the average speed equation first of all. It's going to be total distance over time, total time taken. So how to find this one? So when you're considering about the total distance, it's going to move from 3 meter, and after that he is going to move 4 meter, which means he's going to cover the total distance of 7 meter. So the total distance is, actually we knew that when you are considering about the distance, the meaning of the distance is the actual path length. So here he has traveled over 7 meters. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide it by the total time, which is 2 seconds. So let's divide it by 2 seconds. So this is the average speed. If you divide it by 7 by 2, we are going to get 3.5 meter per second. So this is known as average speed. I hope this would be clear for you. In the next videos, we are going to do several questions in the next videos. So I hope you can get a clear idea of this one. So here we have learned the instantaneous speed and the average speed. And what's the difference between them? In the next video, we are going to learn about the velocity. Actually, we are going to learn about the same instantaneous velocity as well as average velocity. And we are going to calculate the velocity for this same question. So let's meet in the next video. Hope you enjoyed your day. Thank you for watching.